Fast forward to now, we've been together all these years, and in that time, we even had a child together. Love you, princess. Good night. Heart of my joy. I didn't need to read a lot before seeing red. I don't understand people who are like, well, I can never get married, but kids I could have. Ooh, a little bit of, what's that called? Ultimatum. Is that what that is? I don't know. So hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Layla, and today is everyone's favorite day of the month. Clap it up. So every last Friday of the month, I like to post Am I the A-hole stories. And we read them, we react to them, we give our thoughts, we make our judgments. In case you're new here and you're like, what is that outfit you're wearing? Don't ask me such a question such as that. But what I will tell you is that if you have no idea what Am I the A-hole is, Am I the A-hole is a subreddit on Reddit where people can post a story or a situation or something that happened and ask the timeless question, am I the a-hole? And from there, people in the comment section will go, yes, no, maybe so, everybody sucks here, so on and so forth. So my main go-to for these posts is this page on Instagram called Toxic Reddit. They're a page that curates some of the most toxic posts from across various subreddits, not just Am I the a-hole. So if you're into that, you should go give them a follow, because they're my favorite account. And we've also recently taken up a new account. Let me see if I can find the username. So we're going to be using this new account I found. They seem like a pretty solid page, and I think they post Am I the A-hole stories only. They are called, hello? I'm truly confused. LMAO. Lots of Reddit posts here. I try to post every day. Mama, a girl behind you. A mama? Yeah, and they're just an account we're going to be using tonight for some of the more neutral stories. They post some pretty good ones, and they will be linked down below as well. So everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this month so far. It's been a long month, and this is our final month before things get a little bit spooky. Yeah, next month is October. So everyone, what I want you to do is to grab your snacks, grab your drinks, get all comfy cozy, and let's just dive right in with the first post. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend if he doesn't propose before the end of this year, I will start planning my future without him? Ooh, a little bit of, what's that called? Ultimatum. Is that what that is? I don't know. I, 36 female, have been with my boyfriend, 36 male, for 5 years. When we started dating, I expressed to him that I wanted us to grow together and was dating to marry. He said he was more slow-paced with everything that he does, and if we made it 5 years together, he'd feel comfortable proposing. Let me guess, he lied. We talked about this throughout the relationship, so this was well established, and we both agreed, even though 5 years seemed a bit too long for me, I was understanding of him because his last relationship, which ended 2 years before we met, he bought a ring, and she dumped him. Fast forward to now, we've been together all these years, and in that time, we even had a child together. Yet, he still never proposed. I brought it up earlier this year, how this is our 5th year together, and I would really like us to take the next step forward in our commitment and get engaged by the end of the year, our anniversary. He started telling me how he doesn't see the point and doesn't believe in marriage anymore, because it's just a piece of paper, and there's no need to get the government involved. I told him that wasn't the point, and this was about an expression of our devotion to one another and solidifying ourselves as a family. I offered we could do a different type of ceremony where we didn't even have to involve the government, because this is not about that to me. He kept making excuses, and I asked him, well, where does he want to be in the next couple of years, and he said he just thinks about day to day. I told him if he doesn't get it together and propose by the end of this year, that I will have to reevaluate his role in my life and make future plans that don't include him, since he is showing me that he doesn't want to be included. He said I'm an a-hole for forcing him to propose and that he doesn't want to. I told him that's fine, and he doesn't have to do it, but I also don't have to sit around waiting for him and wasting my time on someone who doesn't want to grow old with me and do life together, marriage, family, etc. Edit! When we first had the talk about marriage in the beginning of our relationship, He expressed wanting to be married and wanting to take his time to be sure we'd last, because he didn't want to be left eventually if things didn't work out. He would bring up marriage, buying a house, etc. fairly often over the years, and it's only now he's done a 180 and saying he doesn't believe in marriage. He doesn't want to marry you. You're asking for a ring that he doesn't want to give. You're asking for a marriage that he doesn't want. Marriage is a too enthusiastic yes convo, not an ultimatum. Get your ducks in a row and start planning your life without him, and a co-parenting plan. Not the a-hole, but I would not have had a child with a man who wasn't ready to propose if it was that important to me. But it's clear he doesn't want marriage, so if you're not happy with the status quo, it's time to move on. You've always been clear about what you want in the long term. If he's slow-paced, he wouldn't have wanted a child. A much bigger responsibility you never really get out of. We'll marry the next one within a year, though. I guarantee it. Whoa, that's a little spicy. Yeah, I think doing the 180, that would be pretty telling. I am gonna say something a little controversial. I don't understand why people act like having children isn't this big commitment, but getting engaged or married is above it. You know, you're tied to this person if you have a child with them basically for the rest of your life, right? I don't get it. I don't understand people who are like, well, I can never get married, but kids I could have. I think someone not wanting to marry you 5 years in, when you had previously discussed and laid out what you wanted, is pretty telling, and the other commenters are right. Giving someone an ultimatum to marry you, is that really how you want to get married? Is that how you want your future to look? I just don't think I would want to give someone an ultimatum. If they express like, I don't want to get married, okay, then we're not. See you later. Like, if it's not gonna happen either way, or you have to like force it to happen, that's not going to be a happy and healthy marriage, if that's kind of the foundation of it, right? You force your partner into marrying you. So I just, I don't think the ultimatum works in the way that you want it to. I think it's just time to, give yourself some self-respect, maybe, and decide what you want out of life. Do you want to be with someone who doesn't want to marry you but does because you gave them an ultimatum? Or do you want to spend your life with someone who has the ultimate same goal as you and the ultimate same plan? That's what you gotta ask yourself. Anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for texting from my girlfriend's phone? My girlfriend was doing some time-sensitive work on her computer and asked me to go through her photo gallery on her phone and send her some images. As I was going through the photos, she got a text from someone that said, "Love you, princess. Good night. Heart emoji." I understandably got freaked out and started looking at the text history. I didn't need to read a lot before seeing red. My girlfriend has been chatting with this person regularly, mainly about her day. He keeps calling her baby and princess and sending her lots of love. Hugs and kisses. I feel shocked. I thought I had a great relationship with my girlfriend. I looked at the name again and suddenly remembered my girlfriend had mumbled it and something about chocolate in her sleep the other night. I could see this had been going on for a while, and I got really angry. So I sent a message to the guy about how he was scum for calling someone else's girlfriend baby, and then I deleted the messages and blocked the number. This was an hour ago. I don't feel like I went too far. But now that I've cooled down, I've been wondering and wanting some outside perspective. Update! So, it turned out I messed up big time. My girlfriend came here as an international student and has relatives from other cultures. It turns out that what I thought was the affair partner's name was actually the word for aunt, or aunt. Her elderly aunt that helped raise her, which is why the messages were so affectionate. Apparently, she makes a mean chocolate cake, which my girlfriend had been dreaming about the other night. I thought this was complete BS, but my girlfriend made me read through all her messages from the beginning, and I realized she was telling the truth. Apparently, her aunt has been crying because of the message I sent, and because I blocked the number, it took a while to clear the situation up. She cursed me out for 5 minutes and said I'm a total scumbag, and it's over, and then kicked me out. Thanks a lot, Reddit. What did Reddit though? And then toxic Reddit included this image. You're the a-hole for not doing what she asks, but for just assuming the worst without talking to her and causing a problem where one might not exist. Edit. You're thanking us for your mess up, or for telling you that you messed up. He's blaming us. LOL, waiting for the follow-up where he finds out it was actually the girl's mum. Oh, and you're the a-hole. Knavish Lagorgesh, yes, called it. Yes, you're the a-hole, for freak's sake! Stop acting as though your girlfriend is a piece of property and talk to the other human being in your relationship. Here's where you went wrong. Texting the other person, especially from your girlfriend's phone. Abusing the other person rather than talking to the person who you think is cheating on you. Blocking the other person on her phone. Hint, you aren't supposed to control the people you love. Deleting the messages to hide your trail of badly thought out destructiveness and toxicity. By the way, you realize that whether or not you talk to her about this, your actions are going to blow up in your face, right? It's not like the other person is going to have 0 other ways to contact her and they're going to tell her. Bonus arsehole points. Though, if it turns out to be a family member. Called it too. I'm saying thanks a lot, Reddit, whenever stuff doesn't go my way from now on. My guess is she talked about the aunt before and he just didn't listen to her. She's better off without him. Thanks a lot, Reddit. What the hell did we do? Let me play devil's advocate a little bit. I think it's fair that if you read messages like that, you'd be like, and you know, your adrenaline, all of that goes up. But, the reaction is where we derail and crash completely. It's fine to get anxious or even mad if you read messages like that without knowing the context, but then to just make all these assumptions, block the number, curse them out before you block the number and send a really horrible message, and then not communicate with your partner about what you just came across. How old are you? 13 years old? I don't want to be too harsh here, but it's really immature to do all of that, delete the messages, block this person, and not even let your girlfriend know, oh, I saw who you were texting. This sounds fake to me because she just so happened to be mumbling something about chocolate in her sleep and the name of the person in the contact. But what I'm gonna say is just straight up assuming the worst about someone you're dating. I would never want to assume that the person I'm with is cheating on me. So I would try to get to the bottom of things, even if I'm like anxious or scared or worried or mad. I would want to know the full story from them before I just make all these assumptions, right? But that's just me. That's just what I would do. I think, you know, you are the a-hole for flipping out like that and making all these assumptions rather than just communicating. Communication is key. So let's just move on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for telling my kids not to bother visiting if they insist on calling another woman Mom? My ex and I have 2 kids together, 12 female and 10 female. We were separated when they were 6 months and 2 years old, divorced at 1 and 3, and he remarried when they were 3 and 5. I've never gotten along with his wife because she seems convinced that she's my kid's mom. Kids is whatever. It's only gotten worse since I remarried and moved. I tried to get primary custody of the kids when I moved, but both of the kids asked to stay with their dad, and their lawyer argued that they'd have to share a room with my stepkids and go to public school at my house, while their dad has a house triple the size of mine, where they'll have their own rooms, and they'd go to a good private school, so I ended up getting them every other weekend. Their stepmom used to contact me constantly about foods they like, don't like, are sensitive to, not wanting the kids to have to share their toys, keeping an eye out for teasing by my stepkids. Nothing happened. My 10-year-old is just sensitive.
You sure about that?
And using something like a nightlight / white noise machine at night. Every time I tell her to back off, and I know what I'm doing with my own kids, but she never listens. Then she started picking them up instead of their dad. I told her I wouldn't let the kids go with anyone but their dad, and they actually took me to court over this and had my custody reduced to visitation at their house for almost 2 years. It's a lot of words. Now I have them every other weekend again, and I started to realize they call their stepmom mommy / mama. They don't call me anything. And they only call my husband by his first name. I tried to correct them every time they called her mom, but she'd give me a look and tell them it was okay and that they could call her whatever they want. I eventually told them not to bother visiting if they insist on calling another woman mom, but won't even call me mom. They haven't visited or called in over a month. Part of me thinks they turn the kids against us and wants to go to court for parental alienation, but part of me just wants to let go and focus on my new family. Am I the a-hole for telling them not to bother visiting me if they insist on calling another woman mom, but not me? Do your stepkids call you mom? Yes, but their mom isn't in the picture. Oh, like your children's mom. No, I'm still here and would be involved if they didn't prefer the woman trying to replace me. Info, what happened between the 10-year-old and your stepkids? Nothing happened. Clearly something happened for the stepmother to be concerned about it. You're the a-hole. Wow, congratulations on being less mature than your 12 and 10-year-old daughters. Clearly missing info here. No court is ruling that hard against a mother because they have a smaller house and have asked for the father to pick up the kids. You're the a-hole, and you need help. You would be willing to lose your visitation over some BS? She is a mother figure to them. Be happy they are happy. It's a very conditional kind of love. I can see why they don't bother. So he remarried when they were 3 and 5, so the stepmother arguably, if I'm understanding this correctly, has arguably been in their life a long time. So of course they would see her as a parent figure. And I do think that there is quite a bit of info missing if the courts do rule against a mother. That's not something you typically hear. It does happen, and I'm not saying that, like, necessarily anything horrible happened and, like, they're holding back all this information, but I think there is more to the story, so I think we're missing big chunks of context, or just things that would kind of make this make a little more sense. I think it's weird to be mad that your kid's stepmother, who is a parental figure, is being treated like a parental figure, and that annoys you. I mean, she's their stepmother, so she is like a mother figure to them. So, what I'm a little confused by is that they don't call their mother anything. And why do you care that they only call, your husband by his first name? And then to get mad at your 10 and 12-year-old children and tell them, don't bother visiting if you're gonna call another woman mom. And it's pretty telling that they haven't visited or called in over a month. Because they're 10 and 12. Like, what children don't want to be around their mother unless there's a reason? So I think you are the a-hole because that's kind of cruel to do to children, to, like, force them to make a choice. Or, you know, to get mad at the kids and the stepmother for their relationship. You know, not everybody has a good relationship with their step-parents, so I would just be grateful that they do, but apparently that's, like, the worst thing imaginable. So I do think this individual is the a-hole because I think there's more to the story. I think putting kind of the emotional weight of the situation onto your children rather than the adults involved is weird. But that's just my take on it. I don't know. It seems like majority of people think this is... the original poster is the a-hole, but you let me know what you think. Anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for shutting down my brother's proposal at my baby shower and then sending him a bill? Oh, by the way, this comes from r/AmITheJerk, which is like just a censored version of Am I the a-hole, but it's the same premise. I'm 29 female, due in November with our first baby. Congratulations. We planned a small mixed baby shower at a local village hall. Some nibbles, silly games, a couple of speeches. Hear, hear. Me and my husband paid for most of it. My mother-in-law chipped in for desserts. It wasn't anything mad, but it was our little celebration. A week before the shower, my brother, 26 male, texted asking if he could propose to his girlfriend during the party because the whole family will be there. I told him no. I said I'd be thrilled to help plan something specially literally any other day, but I really wanted to keep the shower about, you know, the baby. He kicked off a bit and got my mum involved, who said it would be so lovely and 2 birds, 1 stone. Well, Mom, nobody cares what your opinion. I said no again and thought that was the end of it. On the day during the toast, my mom calls my brother up to say a few words. He starts chatting about love and family, and I see him pat his pocket. He turned to his girlfriend and starts to go down on one knee. I stood up, walked over, took the mic, not yanking it, honest, and said, hey, we love you guys, but we're not doing this today. Let's please keep today focused on the baby. We'll help you celebrate properly soon, I promise. The room went dead quiet. His girlfriend looked mortified and legged it to the lose. My brother got angry, said I embarrassed him, and left. The rest of the shower was awkward. Afterwards, a few family members said I did the right thing and that proposals that other people's do's are tacky. Others said I should have just let it happen and not caused a scene. That night, the family group chat blew up. My mom said I was controlling and that she cleared a surprise moment with the venue. as if that's the point. I said I already told them both no, and that consent matters for parties too. My brother said I ruined his big moment, and that his girlfriend had planned to fly her sister over next month, so this was the only time everyone was together. I told him we would have all turned up for him whenever he asked. Right, here's where I might be the a-hole. The next morning I sent my brother an itemized request to cover half of the hall hire and the extra drinks package, £220 total, since he tried to, in his words, make it our day too. I said if he wanted to use the party as his proposal venue, he could help pay for it. He hasn't paid, obviously, and now says I'm being petty and tight. I know sending a bill looks bad, but I was so hurt that he and my mum just ignored a boundary I'd clearly set. Since then, his girlfriend messaged me privately to apologize and said she had no idea he was planning to do it there. She also said she doesn't want their proposal tied to the memory of my baby shower. Anyway, which I totally get and was grateful for. I told her I was sorry for how awkward it was and would love to help them plan something nice later on. So am I the a-hole for taking the mic and shutting him down? And am I an extra a-hole for the invoice? I'm willing to hear I handled it badly, but I also feel like if I'd let it happen, the whole shower would have just become about their engagement and the baby would have been forgotten. If you were at a party and someone tried this, would you just let it happen or step in politely? What's a better way I could have handled it in the moment? I'm definitely willing to make up. I just don't want to set a precedent that my no doesn't actually mean anything. Not the jerk. That is such a tacky thing to do. One of the tackiest and cheapest thing you can do is hijack another person's event for your selfish purposes, above all, where you were told no. Your mother is so, but so wrong. It's not so lovely and two birds, one stone. It's tacky and cheap. You did right to send him the bill, but also send it to your mother, since she had the nerve to clear the surprise moment with the venue. She didn't even chip in for the event! Your brother is being absolutely selfish, blaming you for, I ruined his big moment. He ruined it by taking not for an answer when he asked. He only embarrassed his girlfriend, and she's a decent person, for apologizing. You did what you had to do, because baby showers are about babies, not proposals! Have you all thought about what would have happened if the girlfriend rejected the proposal? If you already lived an awkward moment, that would have ended your event for sure. Not the a-hole. Your mum and your brother sound very entitled, and deserve to be called out for crossing a very clear boundary. Why are people proposing in front of other people? Don't they fear rejection, especially if the SO wasn't expecting it? And why would someone want to propose at an event for another person? Especially if the original party plan didn't involve a proposal. This is extra cheap, to be honest. Not the jerk. If I was proposed to at my family member's dedicated event, I'd say no and leave. If someone tells you no, that's your answer. Like, I don't care if it was cleared with the King of England. If a family member tells you not to do something and you do it anyway, you're gonna suffer the consequences. I think stepping in and being like, no, let's not do this, has kind of set a precedent that you will prevent people from taking away from your joy and from crossing boundaries and from crossing lines that you have set. I personally would be really mad if someone did that at an event I had planned for a very specific thing. Spent all this money on, invited all these people, I told them no, don't do that this day, and they do it anyway. Like, it's really sweet that the girlfriend apologized, but there's a time and a place, and that was not the time nor the place, especially because the brother was told no. And honestly, what would have happened if the girlfriend had been like, nah, and walked out? That would make the party so awkward and weird for everyone. I think that proposing at weddings, baby showers, or other people's, like, engagement parties or whatever, any, like, birthday party or big event where we're celebrating one specific thing, it's really a horrible thing to do unless you've gotten permission way ahead of time, because it just takes attention away from this thing and now puts it onto something else. So I would say not the a-hole, but that's just my thoughts on it. Anyways, on to the next one. This one sounds incredibly fake, but there's someone out there like this, I guarantee. Am I the a-hole for moving my roommate's insulin out of the way? So my 27 male roommate, 23 female, is a type 1 diabetic, and she stores her insulin in the refrigerator. I decided to throw a huge surprise party for my best friend, 28 male, this weekend. I knew the party would be a massive hit. and I was super excited to see the look on his face when he walked in. To make the party unforgettable, I ordered a giant custom-made ice cream cake, which needed to be kept in the fridge. When I got home with the cake, I realized there wasn't enough room in the fridge for it. My roommate wasn't home, so I couldn't ask her if I could rearrange her stuff. I saw her insulin and thought it would be no big deal if I took it out for a few hours while the party was going on. Just to make room for the cake. I mean, I didn't think she would need it during the party since she wasn't even invited. Anyway, my roommate came home unexpectedly during the party, noticed her insulin was missing, and absolutely freaked out. She started yelling at me in front of all my guests, making a scene and totally ruining the vibe. She went on a whole rant about how this type of insulin spoils quickly at room temperature or something, and she made a big scene of throwing it all out. I looked it up and I'm 90% sure she's exaggerating. She had to take some emergency insulin she keeps in her room and left the party visibly upset. Now, everyone's telling me I'm the a-hole for taking her insulin out of the fridge, even though it was only for a few hours. I think she overreacted, and it's not my fault she came home early. Am I the a-hole? OP's comments have all been removed by the moderator, it looks like, but he left one saying they didn't have fridges in historical times and diabetics were fine. For historical context, if you were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes prior to the 1920s or so, you would almost certainly be dead within 3 months. He also seems convinced, somehow, that insulin is essentially just a vial of sugar water. If this is real, he's a moron. Darn! I'd like to have read the deleted comments. This has got to be fake. The roommate could have died or something. You're the a-hole. Yeah, no hesitation. You suck. This is 100% a rage bait story, okay? Let's be real. But there are people out there who don't understand what insulin is and what it does. We had a dog when I was growing up who required daily insulin. I think it was twice a day. Once in the morning, once at night. And it had to be refrigerated at all times or it does go bad. Let me get this right. Let's really get this correct. Let's be educated individuals. Hey Siri.
Good evening.
Hey, hey, could you tell me what is type 1 diabetes? Hello? So type 1 diabetes is a lifelong condition where the pancreas makes little to no insulin, which leads to high blood sugar levels. And type 1 diabetes is autoimmune. There's like nothing you brought it on, you know. People always mix up type 1 and type 2, where it's like poor diet or whatever. I don't even know what people are talking about half the time with type 2 diabetes, but type 1, completely uncontrollable. I'm pretty sure anyone can develop that at any point, so that's what makes it scary. And yeah, if you don't get that medication, you can die. You will die, in fact. And I think leaving it out makes it spoil pretty rapidly. Like, I think there's a window of time in which the insulin can be left out. Per my understanding, I'm not diabetic, but from what I've read and from what I've heard, people have almost died from incidents like this, which is why we're including it. But if there's any doubt that this person is an a-hole, also, just rage baiting is really cringe. I'm gonna be honest. I've said, and I've thought about this a lot lately, rage baiting has gotta be the dumbest thing to exist. Like, imagine taking time out of your day to either use AI or to use your brain to come up with a fake post to annoy people, to get reactions, to get downvotes, and to get potentially, you know, those awards people on Reddit give, which I hear pay you. Like, imagine how much of a loser you have to be to spend time thinking about how you can rage bait people online. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I've never said this out loud, but rage baiting is the lamest thing I think a person can do because it's not funny, it's not humorous, it's a waste of time, and I'm never gonna look at someone's rage bait comments and fall for it. And I'm pretty sure this story is at least rage bait, if not just a fake story. So, it's really stupid, but there are people who would do this. And, you know, I don't realistically see why insulin wouldn't have been able to stay in the fridge and fit in the fridge, which is also a detail that doesn't make sense. To my knowledge, like, the bottles, the vials aren't big, you know, they don't take up a ton of space, and typically you, like, put them on the door, because if they're made out of glass and they fall on the floor, they can shatter. So, I don't know about the accuracy even of this post, but yeah, you're the a-hole. Next! Anyways, on to the next one. So we've now reached that time of the night where we're gonna read one last crazy one and call it there. So everyone, let's just read our final post. Am I the a-hole for ruining my parents' marriage by finding my biological father and exposing my mom's lies? I, 19 male, always knew my dad wasn't my biological dad, and it was never a huge deal. I knew I was loved either way. Mom always told us that my biological father hadn't wanted to be a dad and walked away once he learned she was pregnant. When I was 12, I started struggling with health issues, and we were repeatedly asked for family medical background. Mom swore she reached out to ask Bio for any insight on his side, but he refused to give it. At the time, we were told it would be ideal to find more if we could, but if not, we would do our best to treat me. My dad and I talked about it a lot, and he comforted me when I was upset that this guy who made me hated me so much that he wouldn't even help for a medical problem. It meant added complications, and always having to explain to new doctors I was referred to that I only had half my family medical history and could not get more. And really, it just sucked to think he cared so little if I could be seriously ill or not. A year ago, my aunt, Mom's sister, told me that things might not be like they seemed and maybe it would be a good idea to search for answers myself. What's with the mystery, Aunt? She said the worst that could happen is he refuses to answer or gets mad at me for making contact. I asked her what she meant about things not being what they seemed, but she was tight-lipped, so I did a 23andMe. I ended up matched with a paternal aunt, and from there, Mom's lies were exposed to me. My paternal aunt was shocked to learn about me, and she told me that she was 100% certain her brother had no idea either. She was a go-between for us at first to help setting up contacts in a face-to-face meeting. When we met, he had medical info waiting for me, and he told me that it was a thing I inherited from his side, and he would be a donor if I ever needed one. He was also apologizing the whole time for not knowing me, and he swore he was never told Mom was pregnant. They broke up because she cheated, and he never heard from her again, or her sister, Aunt who pushed me to search, dang, whom he got along with during his relationship with Mom. The medical info helped, and I told him I'd have way more questions once I processed. Then I went to talk to Mom. At first she said it was all lies, then asked why I searched without saying anything, and when I told her why, she admitted it was true. She said she met Dad after the guy she cheated on my biological father with left her, and she came up with the lie so we could be a normal family. And she never told my biological father about me even after I got sick because she wanted to keep things as they were. I was hurt, but so was my dad. He was mad she denied my biological father and me the chance to know each other, but also that she lied to him the whole time they had known each other. He felt like she made him a complicit in keeping me and my biological father apart. And he was super angry she was willing to make my health stuff more difficult because I didn't have the full background rather than do the right thing and expose her lies years ago for my sake. Medical info I got was actually helpful for my medical team, so it was worth it in that sense. But it has ruined my relationship with my mom, and my parents' marriage is done. Dad wants a divorce and already moved out of their house. My siblings blame me for it because they know what went down between us. Well, screw them! Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Sorry about your mom, but congratulations on having potentially two really great dads. Not the a-hole. What your mom did is awful and extremely selfish. She literally lied to everyone and denied your biological dad a relationship with you and vice versa. I hope you can talk to your siblings, and I'm sure they'll understand at some point. This is not your fault. These are consequences to your mom's actions. Right now, my siblings are refusing to talk to me, even with Dad telling them it's not my fault. They say it is because if I had left it alone, nobody else would know, and our family would be happy. Dad's trying to stop that mindset, but they're not changing their minds on this. Not the a-hole. Her ego was more important to her than your health. She earned those consequences. Yeah, and that's a really messed up thing to process. Not the a-hole. I don't know what the health complication is, but would your mom have let you die to keep her secret? I feel like she would have. She knew she was risking a lot by refusing to give me the chance to get the info. Clearly, the siblings were also willing to let OP die in order to keep things normal. I assume they don't care since it's not their dad. OP's mom and his siblings are complete a-holes. His mom could have reached out to his biological dad 6 years ago and helped with his health. She didn't. OP needs to realize that his mom never really loved him if she prioritized the secret of infidelity over his health. So, first of all, your mom sucks and your siblings suck. Your siblings were fine with things as they were, with not only you being lied to your whole life, but you also having a medical condition that if it had actually posed a threat to your life, you would have died from and never known the truth. And third of all, the biological father not knowing any of this just makes this so much sadder. So your siblings suck, your mother sucks, and everyone who hid this from you sucks! I would be mad if I found out that my mother knew the key to unlocking some of my health issues. Speaking as someone who's chronically ill, if someone knew how to get the actual answers for what I needed, that should be like, that's like bordering on a crime right there. Extremely cruel thing to do, shows that you do not prioritize your child's health over your own infidelity, as it's been said. I just think that's such a crappy thing to do to your own child and to the biological father. And that's a W aunt, but at the same time, I couldn't imagine being a family member and knowing the truth this whole time and not revealing it. You know? Like, that just feels... I don't think that's a secret I could carry. That's a big burden. And one of my favorite sayings on this channel is, you reap what you sow. I always lose sympathy for people once cheating is involved. So the mother is a horrible person, was willing to put her child's life at risk, and clearly showed what her values and morals are. And it's really sad to see, but at the same time, this coming to light is a good thing. Because now you know. Your siblings suck. Your non-biological father sounds like a great dude. And it's just horrible, you know? Misleading people throughout their entire lives and throughout your entire relationship with someone, that's a horrible thing to do. So 100%, you're not the a-hole, your mom and your siblings are. That was our final one for the night. So that's where we're gonna cut it off for the night. There was quite a few stories. That was a lot of Am I the A-hole stories. All the posts will be linked down below if I'm able to locate them. And the 2 pages used in tonight's video will also be linked down below, along with the subreddits used. So this is our last video before Spooky Month, which, if you don't know, I love Spooky Month! Spooky Month is honestly the only month I really look forward to anymore. And it's not because it's spooky, I just love October. Things are about to get spooky up in here. So thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And hopefully I will see you all here in time for Spooky Month.